Translocation is the term that's used when you capture a bear and move him somewhere else. You relocate the animal. I've been, involved in bear management since I think 1979 or 1980, and so that was the tool we used all the time. I mean, we trapped, tranquilized, and hauled bears away. And I did lots and lots of translocations. Most of them were unsuccessful all the way through the 80s, even into the 90s. Ultimately, most of those translocations ended up with the bear coming back, and after 2 or 3 times, the bear was then destroyed, or the bear never returned and no one never knew what happened to it, but from our review that we did in the late 1990s of the whole concept of translocation, it looks like many of those bears never did contribute to the population in the place that they were dumped off in. Our review of the management tool translocation pointed out that in the end, translocation was a questionable management tool and unethical at worst, actually. And so there are alternatives to translocating bears, which is to deal with your problems at home instead of picking your problem up and giving it to someone else, which is in essence what translocation is you're taking a problem animal that you have and relocating that problem animal to some other place where it will probably become a problem someplace else. So those tools we've been using to replace translocation are first and foremost to clean up the problems at home. And most of those problems center around management of our own food and garbage. Many places haven't dealt with that yet. And so instead of managing the real problem, they just manage the bear. So that's first and foremost. Secondly is to take the tactic is that you can teach bears, especially young bears, what behaviors are acceptable and which ones aren't. You can teach bears through pain stimulus or even just noise that a certain place or a certain activity is not appropriate. It's like teaching your kids. And the younger bears, especially what we consider teenage bears, those young, impressionable subadults that will try just about anything, can be taught that campgrounds are not nice places, or that hanging around people, in some cases, is not appropriate. And so the wardens do that now fairly routinely, where they can haze or use a variety of tools to aversively condition bears to teach them either not to be in a certain place or not to do a certain activity. And that's that whole management regime we now have of hazing and aversive conditioning, where you can teach bears what's right and what's wrong.